All right, I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can. The kids are coming in about 5 minutes. But I wanted to talk about word problems because this is the biggest struggle that the kids face. They don't know how to make sense of a situation. They wind up just doing stuff with numbers. So like in this question, it says that a recipe calls for 2/3 a cup of milk for one batch of muffins. Mia's making 4 batches. How much milk will she need in all? What a lot of the kids do is they will resort to just seeing a keyword in all, and they've been taught that in all means adding. So they'll do 2/3 plus 4 and get 4 and 2/3 when this is not an addition problem. So this is where our models come in. And so when we solve word problems, we always go through the same kind of thinking. The first thinking is take out the numbers so that you can make sense of the situation. So like I would say, okay, this is talking about a recipe that needs milk, and it's telling us how much milk is needed for one batch of muffins, but she's making a couple of batches of muffins. And the question is asking, like, how much milk am I going to need? They need to understand and comprehend that situation before they start looking at anything to do with the numbers. So we want to slow them down, and we want them to be thinking about what's actually being represented here. Well, in this situation, I know that one batch of muffins is 2/3 of a cup of milk, which means the second batch that she's making is also 2/3 of a cup of milk. And then so would the third batch and the fourth batch. And it's asking for how much milk is there total. And the goal is that once they represent their thinking in this tape, after they take out the numbers to make sense of it and they put the numbers back in once they make sense of it, you can get your number sentence from your tape. And what's happening is I am repeatedly going to be adding 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3. And so they could use repeated addition to solve this. And then some of the kids are going to be like, well, wait, I'm just making 4 copies of 2/3. And either way, they're going to get 8/3 as their answer, and then they can simplify that by pulling out the whole, and we get 2 full wholes, which is 6/3 with 2/3 left over. And again, the goal of the tape is to help them make sense of the situation. I am not saying that for these types of problems where it literally just says solve, I am not saying draw a tape here. That's what the kids are getting confused with. The tapes are there to help them make sense of these situations. And so anytime we solve a word problem, we take the numbers out so that we can make sense of what's happening. And then we try to represent what's happening in our model, whether it's a tape or an area model or some other picture that they're drawing, so that they can understand the situation that is happening, so that they can solve it. And so realistically, like we could have got our answer from this tape without coming up with a number sentence at all. And so this strategy is really for my kids who struggle with reading comprehension because it makes them think about the situation that's being represented. And so anytime we solve word problems, this is the thinking that we go through. It doesn't matter if it's fractions, whole numbers, we're about to get into decimals. The same thinking can be true for any word problems that they ever solve. And right now, we're only working on single-step word problems, but eventually, we're going to get to multi-step. And in 5th grade, multi-step is 3 or more steps. And right now, we are only on 1 step. But again, tapes are here to help slow them down to understand the situation itself. And I'll upload a video of me going through 14, 15, and 16 so you can kind of see my thinking as I solve these problems.